once, a while ago, I was a sales manager, and I had this team of about 25 people that reported to me in Portland. And we were working really hard towards a big goal, and I thought, you know what? They need a break. I'm going to help. We're going to celebrate. So I reserved the second floor conference room in the Coyne Center in Portland, and I rented a movie, back when we rented movies. The Miracle, remember the hockey movie? Yeah. And I made them popcorn, and I got a bunch of ice cream, had a sundae bar all set up, and I'd send them a mandatory meeting for noon. So at noon, everybody comes down the second floor conference room, like, surprise, look, it's movie time. And out of the 25 people, maybe 2 stayed. Was that inward or outward behavior? Totally inward, right? Not because I expected to do dire, evil things, but because I wanted to do nice things, good things, but I actually was not alive to the fact of what they actually wanted or needed. I was acting more in how I could be looked at as a good manager than actually be the good manager. So I felt it was important to point out this nuance that I could go about wanting to do good things for people. But unless I actually know what people need, what they're trying to accomplish, it's going to be really hard for me to be effective. I'm here to talk about mindset today. And, why mindset? Because I found that it has a profound implication on our ability to improve relationships, resolve conflict, and enhance performance. And the Arbinger Institute has been at this work evolving their understanding of mindset for 35 years. We all came here, we all have in our programs a result, right, that we have been about accomplishing. And usually the way we go about accomplishing results is behavior, right? So this is true in our professional lives around, we're going to accomplish this goal, so we need to do these 3 things to get there. It's true in our personal lives. We say, I want to get fit, so I go to the gym. These are behaviors. But there's something we don't attend to, and that's mindset, which is this underlying, prevailing view of the world. So when I define mindset, I'm defining it as our lens on the world, the way we see people, the way we see situations, the way we see challenges. So our behaviors are driven by this collective set of behaviors we've entered into. So let's say we've got this new result. This year we want to educate X amount of children, or we have this one goal that we know we want to achieve. How do we get there? Well, the common way, as we well know, is like, well, let's change behavior. Let's collaborate more. Right? How many of you have heard that before? Or let's partner with parents. Or let's, so we have these ideas, these new behaviors we can enter into. But what's missing? This idea that we're not attending to mindset. So if we don't attend to mindset, we're missing something significant. And I don't know if you're familiar with this organization called McKinsey & Company. They're a big management consulting firm that does all kinds of research on organizations. And this study that I'm quoting here came out in 2013, which points out that when there's a change effort of some kind in an organization, those that attend to the idea of mindset at the outset are 4 times more likely to be successful with that change effort than if they don't. So, okay, if desired result is X, and 4 times is 4X, like, doesn't 400% improvement sound like what we want? Especially because we're not talking about widgets that are being produced. We're talking about human beings and the kind of impact we can have on them. So if we believe this to be true, then how do we go about improving that? Well, what I would suggest to you is that if we spend some time this morning really looking at and working with this concept of mindset, the way that we see the world, that behavior will follow along, the kind of behavior that will support your desired result. So that's why we're going to spend some time talking about it today. So now I want to define it a little more succinctly for you. What do I mean by outward versus inward mindset? So here I am, I'm a person, and when I'm outward, I see you as a person. you matter like I matter. And when you matter like I matter, I'm alive to the fact that you have your own goals, your own concerns, your own worries, your own objectives. And when I'm alive to that, I can take that into consideration to how I am with you. Meaning the way I think about you is I think about my impact on you. That sounds pretty good, right? This is compared to what we call an inward mindset. And in an inward mindset, you don't matter like I matter. And if you don't matter like I matter, then I am not alive to the fact that you have goals, that you have objectives, that you have headaches. I don't see that anymore. So what am I focused on? Me. I'm focused on me, my results, how I am seen. We call this being in the box, demonstrated by that fancy red box right up there. Because when I'm in a box, I have some blindness. Things I feel true, but I don't see a larger reality. There are ways when I'm in my box that I turn you from a person into an object. So when I'm in my box and I'm focused on me, I see you not as a person, I see you as an object, and there's 3 ways that this can happen. The first way is I see you as a vehicle that I can use. You're going to help me get what I want. I might, if I see you as a vehicle, pander to you or be really nice to you. But I might also see you as an obstacle, one that I blame, because if it weren't for you, I'd be doing just fine. If it weren't for you, my life would be so much better. If it weren't for you. And the third way we can turn people into objects is that we just find them irrelevant. They're like a speed bump on the road of life, where they're neither helping me get what I want or hindering me from getting what I want. So I can ignore them completely. I don't know about you, but having worked in corporate America for some time, I could find myself in a meeting where I was surrounded by all 3. 2 of the people in the meeting could be vehicles, a couple might be obstacles that were actively preventing me, that I could blame them, and a couple people weren't in my way or helping me, so they were completely irrelevant. So what's the theme of that? I'm focused on me.
So we've been talking a lot about how to recognize our own thinking and our own processes that we find ourselves trapped in. Mm-hmm. And obviously the first step is to try to step outside of ourselves and understand where other people are coming from. But how can we invite them to do the same thing? Mm-hmm. Because we're just half of the problem, right?
Yeah, we're just half the problem, right. Again, it's like a brilliant segue. It's like I paid you to say that. I'll pay you afterwards.
I'll take the money.
Okay, no pockets. So when we get to back to this idea, to your point, what's your name?
Brandon.
Brandon, thank you, Brandon. So Brandon makes this really interesting point that I'm in my box and you're in your box. And so how do we break the cycle? And I do my part. That's really what comes first, because this most important move, the most important move we can make is for us to recognize when we're in our box. So if we go back to that idea of collusion, right? And if these chairs represent 2 people in collusion, I'm in my box, and you're in your box, right? So this is me. My back is turned. I've got my better than box, or I've got my worse than box. And now we're in this dance. What's the most important thing I can do to change this dynamic, as Brandon asked? Right? Because what can change? Now I can be alive to a much larger situation here, right? And new possibilities can start to emerge. Now this, to Brandon's point, does not in any way guarantee that this person will change. We're not asking them. This model of collusion doesn't ask people to change. In fact, if I walked into a situation thinking like, okay, so I'm going to do this modeling like with my dad. How can I get my dad to change? Then you know what? Then we're back to looking at people as objects. Because if I walk into a situation going, I need this person to change to make it easier on me. How often do we do that and not even think about it? How often do we actually, in our programs, create processes that make it easier us to administer the program, but actually make it more difficult for people to abide? So we don't think about it. We do it. So in some cases where I'm asking for change here, it's because I want it for me. Here's my big challenge to you. Here's me laying down the gauntlet. Can you, for the rest of today, see every person you meet as a person who matters like you matter? Might be the person who's filling your gas tank. It might be the person at the grocery store tonight. It might be your spouse when you go home this evening. But can you see every person mattering like you matter? I challenge you. I dare you.